when an EMP explodes over the United States and power goes out everywhere, how are you supposed to light your way? Thanks to me, you will know how to. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a lantern with 3 easy steps. What you need to make this, all you need is to find a place in the woods that has a creek of some sort, because with the creek comes a lot of useful things, and with the woods comes a lot of useful things for it. You can do this in Eureka, out Eureka Lake. It has everything you need right there. The next step, and the easiest step, is to get a stick that's sturdy enough to be digging mud or clay, in my example, that I'll be showing you next. I think there's someone over there. I should probably get out of here. The reason you need to find a creek in the woods is because 9 times out of 10, there's clay along the banks of creeks. As you can see over here, it is a bit lighter colored. It's tannish. That's how you know it's clay. And with the stick you found, you can dig it out and collect it for the base of your pot. So right here is, I think, where the best spot of clay is. And it kind of looks disgusting right now. It has a bunch of mud and rocks mixed into it. But as you're digging, if you go down into layers, you'll find that it starts to clear up and get more pure. So you kind of have to scrape off a top layer before you can really get down to the stuff you can work with. Now once you got your clay, about the size of a grapefruit, maybe a little bigger, a little smaller, it's not going to matter that much. You'll probably have extra if you get this much. But the next step is to mold it into the base that you put the fuel into. Now this next part is actually probably the hardest part, even though you wouldn't think it. As you can see, there are a lot of pine trees behind me, but it was still pretty hard to find a tree that I can grab some pine sap off of. That's what you're going to do first, is look this white stuff on the tree. When a branch or bark gets peeled off or broken, the sap leaks out to try to protect itself. So on the outside of clearings where someone's been through and knocked off branches is where I can find it. But a lot of the times it just comes out as this flaky, you can't take it off the tree. Sometimes, as it did here, it globs up where you can take it off. So right here, this little piece right here, I think I can just take off. But there's some right here, it's a bit more runny. I'm going to have to get off with a stick because it is really runny and sticky. It would get all over my hand and I wouldn't be able to use it properly. But this is some pine sap. This is the fuel of the lantern. It'll burn really well for longer than you'd think. The clay that I got is found everywhere in Illinois, and it's almost exactly like the clay you're given in art class, except it's not gray. So it can be molded in just the same ways. So use your knowledge from 6th grade when you were learning how to do ceramics and form a disc. Shouldn't be hard for anyone who's ever used Play-Doh in their lives. Once you got your disc formed, once again using the knowledge you learned in 6th grade ceramics, you're going to want to make coils. To make a very simple coil bowl type thing, you want a bowl over just a tile or a plate so that the pine sap, when it burns, it melts. And the melted liquid, when that's burning, is what really gives off heat and light. So you want to contain it as much as you can by building up the walls a little bit. It shouldn't be too hard, shouldn't take very long. Once your bowl is done, you're going to have to put it down and wait for almost a couple of days to let it dry fully. Because if it's not dry, when you put it in the fire, it's going to crack. So you got to wait 2 days. I think it's been about 2 days. I'm going to go and put it in the fire now. Your next step, obviously, is to make a fire. I'd show you how, but it's not my presentation. I did not wait 2 days for this to dry because it is for demonstrative purposes. So if you actually want it to work, you have to wait for it to dry for a couple days. But I did not, so I'm going to put this clay bowl, slide it in with this bark, into the coals. Once your pot's seated in the coals, it's going to take a while for it to fully ceramitize and become waterproof. When the fire burns down and you can touch it is about when it's done. You should not take it out when it's still hot to the touch and put water on it, because that will crack it and you won't be able to use it. So just overnight let the fire burn down on it. Make sure the fire's hot, a little bit bigger than mine is. And when it burns down, it'll be waterproof for the most part. It takes a lot of temperature for it to be fully fired, but you don't need it fully fired for a lantern. Once your pot is out of the fire and it's done, get your pine sap, put it in the bowl, and then you light it up. Lights up pretty easy. Some of it's more burnable than other stuff, but this pine sap seems to be going pretty good. It lights, it'll burn for a long time, longer than you think. It burns down into a bubbling liquid, and that liquid gets really hot, so it gets hotter than you think, hotter than I thought. It's pretty dangerous, so be careful with it. But that'll light your way through the night pretty well. And then, when you got your lantern lit, you can light your way through the woods, even if nuclear disaster happens. Now, what the heck is that?